Hello, welcome to Watch List. Today I'm going to go over the NFL regular season week 5. I'm going to show you how I did last week, what the updated power rankings look like, and what the game picks for this week are. So let's get started with looking at last week. So here's how I did. Not great, probably the worst week so far. My ranking picks based on the rankings were 9 and 7, only 56%. And my instinct picks, the few things I had different, I was at 63%, so 10 out of 6, or 10 and 6. Overall for the season, I am still slightly ahead on the instinct picks versus the ranking picks by 2 wins. So what happened last week? So I picked Arizona to beat Seattle. It was a close game. Arizona had the comeback at the end, but fell short. Maybe it's good news for them going forward. I hope so. They finally got their offense clicking in the fourth quarter. But Seattle actually won over a lot of people. They've moved up in the rankings this week for sure. Second game, I picked Pittsburgh to win against Minnesota in Dublin, and they did win. It was close, but that big play by 80-yard touchdown from Rodgers to DK Metcalf was probably the big difference there. Washington Commanders. I picked against them every week, and then I finally picked them, and what do? They lose to Atlanta, who got blown out by Carolina last week. So you never know in the NFL, right? The rest of these look pretty straightforward. Oh, the big surprise there, the Chargers losing to the New York Giants. Giants started rookie quarterback Jackson Dart, and he played well. And then their wide receiver Neighbors is out for the season now with a knee injury. I don't know what happened to the Chargers, but you can't win them all, I guess. Tampa Bay, Philly. That was kind of just me going with my gut on that one, or maybe hoping that someone would be able to knock off Philadelphia. But Tampa lost. It was a close game kind of until the end, but Eagles are the champions. Again, I probably shouldn't pick against them. Let's see. Next game that I want to look at is Jacksonville. Jacksonville flies all the way across the country to San Francisco and beats the 49ers. It was a close game, but I think 49ers had too many injuries. And Jacksonville is another one of those where people are, in these rankings expecting them to be better now or have moved them up in their rankings a bit. Kansas City over Baltimore. That was pretty dominant by the Chiefs. They were leading before Lamar Jackson got hurt, but I think the Chiefs, as they're saying, the Chiefs are starting to get healthy, getting some receivers back, and the Ravens are getting more injuries. So Chiefs are looking okay now. What else? Green Bay and Dallas. We both picked Green Bay, but it was a tie. Everybody hates ties, right? I think the new overtime rules suck. My opinion is I used to really love sudden death overtime, but ever since they've been doing this like fairness, everybody has to get the ball, it's got worse and worse. And this year it's the worst. You spent the entire 10-minute period and it only was one drive each. Like, that was terrible. And then it ends with a boring kick. Like, it was so drama free at the end. Terrible. I don't know. I think maybe if they went to the college rules but modified, I don't think the college rules are good enough starting at the 25-yard line or whatever they do. It's too easy to score. I'd say in the NFL they could do it. Let's say start them at the 50-yard line. That way field goal kickers are still going to be part of it if you did that. Because you're not going to score a touchdown every time, so the kickers would have to still be good. And if you start at the 50, that's plus 10 yards for the end zone and about 7 yards back. That would be a 67-yard field goal if they didn't gain any yards from the beginning, which there's a few kickers out there that could hit that. So I think that's actually pretty good. So let's start at overtime rules for like college overtime rules, but from the 50-yard line instead of the 25. That'd be cool. All right, Jets and Dolphins. I picked Miami. Same old Jets. They lost again. Miami loses Tyreek Hill for the season, so that's not good for them probably going forward. And that's about it. All right, let's go to the rankings. Here are the updated rankings for last week. And as you can see, Philadelphia is still at number 1, Buffalo at number 2. Those two are unchanged. They're the only two teams that have first place votes. Buffalo has a little bit more than they had last week, but still. Detroit has moved up 1 spot to number 3. And the 4th team is the Los Angeles Rams. They moved up 4 spots, looks like. One other weird thing that I noticed here is the Chargers, who were up at 3 last week, dropped 5 spots. They went down, but their lowest is a 9. So if I, highlight this real, let's see, there's a bunch of 9s and it's a couple of 9s, but they're like 6, 7, 8s, a couple of 9s. Yeah, interesting. So people, even though they lost and they went from 3 to 8, I think they're still pretty well respected there. Let's jump to the bottom real quick. The bottom teams. There is a swap here. Tennessee Titans are now the worst team, according to the rankings. Saints have moved up a spot. And the Jets have dropped down 2 spots. Looks like they traded places there with Miami because Miami beat them. But the only other team that has a last place vote is the Carolina Panthers there. So there's 3 teams with last place votes. Carolina's got 1, even though they're the 4th to last team. Biggest movers, I already talked about the Chargers, but we've also had a couple more that dropped. Baltimore dropped 7 spots. No surprise, they have only won 1 game so far. Washington lost a game. Again, Jaden Daniels has been out. Maybe he'll play next week. But they didn't look as good this week with the backup quarterback. Cincinnati, no surprise, they haven't had any offense. The ones that gained, looks like Jacksonville was the biggest gainer of last week. They went up 5 spots to number 13. So I think the traveling across the country and beating San Francisco, who many have higher up on the list. There's even a list that still has them at 6. Sporting News, again. Yeah. So Jacksonville moved up 5 spots after that win. What else is there to call out? Let's see. I'll just do these last ones here. So Jacksonville has the biggest range also. So they have a 7th place ranking with the New York Times, but they're as low as 20th. Looks like Walter Football has them at 20, even though they're 3-1. Looks like Pittsburgh still, they've been on the list every single week as the biggest spread here, the biggest range. They have a couple of 9s. Looks like 3, 4 9s. Tom Brady's got him at a 9. And they've got a 21. Who's got him at 21? NFL trade rumors. They must be haters. So they've got that 12-point spread. Washington has a 12-point spread. They're still at 8 over here with Walter Football. And they're down to a 20 here at the New York Times. So, and then let's see, Cincinnati's got a 10-point spread as well. And that's, I don't know. I think they were so high before and they just keep going down each time. They don't want to drop them too much in 1 week. Anyway, there's the new rankings. And let's get to the week picks. Switch that to week number 5. All right, so who do we got? So I'm going to make this easy this week. There's actually only 14 games this week instead of 16 because 4 teams have a bye. So keep that in mind. I'm going to pick the Rams to win that one against the 49ers. Injuries plus the Rams are just ranked higher. Cleveland, Minnesota. Ooh. This one's a foreign game again. I think this is in London, and Minnesota's been over there now for 2 weeks in a row. So I'm going to go with Minnesota this time since they lost last week. Let's see. Baltimore. I think Baltimore will win this even if Lamar is out. Yeah. They're still ranked higher. Miami and Carolina Panthers. Ooh. I was going to pick Miami, but I think I'm going with Carolina, the home team. Raiders, Indianapolis. I'm going to go with Indianapolis. The Giants and the Saints. I'm going to go with the Giants this time. Dallas Cowboys, New York Jets. Oh, always pick against the Jets. Okay, that's good. Philadelphia Eagles. Never pick against the Eagles. Arizona. Yes. Tennessee's the worst team now. Tampa Bay versus Seattle. My first instinct is Tampa Bay. They're coming off that loss. They've had a lot of close games, but this one is a home game for Seattle. Let me hear. What did I hear in the broadcast? That Seattle wins all their road games last year, and they finally won a home game. Tampa Bay traveling across the country. I don't know. I'm going to go with Seattle, unfortunately. Detroit, Cincinnati. Detroit. I think Cincinnati's in trouble there. Chargers, they're going to bounce back. And Buffalo is going to win. And Jacksonville versus Kansas City. I think Kansas City's finally figured it out. And there you go. So this week I'm only picking 2 games different. Should I think about that? Man, I was kind of close on Tampa Bay versus Seattle. You know what? I'll keep it Seattle. What else is there? That's it. Well, I'll go with that. Can't do any worse than I did last week. So thanks for watching. See you again next week.